Is the updated 2023 Toyota Highlander still the best reliable three-row SUV to buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. Having a proven track record and being on the market for over 2 decades, the Toyota Highlander has proven itself to be one of the most reliable and safest three-row SUVs that you can buy. For 2023, however, Toyota has made one of the biggest changes in the Highlander's history, replacing the long-running V6 engine with a new 4-cylinder turbo. So the question then becomes, does the Highlander still maintain its amazing reputation and reliability with this brand new engine? And how does it compare against other three-row SUVs like the Hyundai Palisade, Kia Telluride, and the Honda Pilot? Well, make sure to stick around until the end of the video because that's what we're going to find out. And if you enjoy and get value out of this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I post 2 videos a week, always straight to the point, valuable car buying advice designed to help you, the consumer. So as mentioned, one of the most significant changes for 2023 is the fact that Toyota has replaced the long-running and well-proven 3.5-liter V6 engine with a brand new 2.4-liter 4-cylinder turbo. Now this is quite controversial because for as long as the Highlander has been around, which is for over 2 decades now, it has always had a naturally aspirated V6 engine. Now sure, there were times where you could get the Highlander with a base 4-cylinder engine on some models, but for as long as it's been around, the V6 engine has been the one that most buyers would go for. So let's talk more about this 4-cylinder turbo engine. For starters, it is the exact same engine that you'd find under the hood of the Lexus NX350 and the new RX350. It's a 2.4-liter engine that produces 265 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. That's actually around 30 horsepower less than the old V6 engine, but it does have around 50 pound-feet of torque more, so in terms of power, it does feel more or less the same as the old V6. I actually just finished test driving a V6 Highlander right before picking up my 4-cylinder test car, and for the most part, you really can't tell much of a difference. They both get up to highway speed at about the same rate. There's maybe a little bit more noise and vibration when compared to the V6, but for the most part, I wouldn't say that the refinement is really any different. The other thing that's no different is the fuel economy. Both engines are able to achieve around 20 to 28 miles per gallon, or 9 to 13 liters per 100 kilometers. And they also have the same towing capacity of up to 5,000 pounds too. So naturally then the question becomes, if the new 4-cylinder turbo has around the same power, the same fuel economy, and the same towing capacity as the old V6 engine, then why exactly did Toyota go through the trouble of replacing their well-proven engine? Well, the answer has to do with emissions. As with other car makers, Toyota is under enormous pressure to reduce the emissions of their entire lineup. And there's no question that the new 4-cylinder turbo has much better emissions than the old V6. Although it is great to have fewer emissions, if it were up to me I would have just kept the old V6 engine, which had an amazing track record for its strong reliability. Anyone who's a regular viewer of my videos would know that I'm often critical of turbo engines thanks to their added complexity, having additional parts, and more potential for issues down the road. A great example of this can be seen with the redesigned Toyota Tundra, which came with an all-new twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 engine, which has been developing some issues. The early versions of these engines had electronically actuated wastegates on the turbochargers which were known to fail, which required the entire engine to be removed from the truck with a very expensive repair bill, which thankfully would be covered under warranty. Now these were obviously isolated early teething issues associated with having a brand new engine, but it just goes to show you that sometimes having new technology is not always a good thing. Fortunately, I don't think we're going to have these issues with the Highlander for a number of reasons. For one thing, the Highlander's engine doesn't have the complicated electronic wastegates, instead using simple vacuum actuated wastegates, which are a lot more reliable. The turbocharger is also more accessible and has much better cooling, which should help with reliability too. And the engine design itself is more or less the same as the 2.5-liter dynamic force 4-cylinder engine that's found in the RAV4 and the Camry, which is known to be an extremely reliable engine. The new 2.4-liter engine shares all of the exact same components with this engine, including the port and direct fuel injection system, which is a really good thing. I think Toyota knows that they couldn't mess things up with this engine because not only is it used in the Highlander, but it's also used in the Lexus NX350 and RX350, which are extremely popular SUVs, and they are also known for their amazing reliability, so Toyota really couldn't mess things up. In any case, it really doesn't make much difference to me whether the Highlander has a V6 or a 4-cylinder turbo, because if I were buying a Highlander, the one that I would unquestionably go for, and the one that I think is the best version of the Highlander, is the Highlander Hybrid. The Highlander Hybrid continues to use Toyota's well-proven Synergy Drive hybrid system, which consists of a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine and a two-motor hybrid system that works through a planetary gear set ECVT. Unlike the four-cylinder turbo, this is a time-tested system with over 2 decades of proven reliability. But not only are you going to get amazing proven reliability with the hybrid, but you're also going to get incredible fuel economy too. The Highlander Hybrid is able to achieve around 36 miles per gallon or 7 liters per 100 kilometers, which is much better than any other comparable 3-row SUV. Now the power is down with the hybrid when compared to the gas engine, producing only around 245 horsepower, but the acceleration is really not that far off. This is only around half a second to a second slower, getting up to highway speeds. And of course, the hybrid is also very smooth and refined, with a seamless transition when the gas engine turns on and off. Aside from a bit less power, the only other sacrifice that you're making with the hybrid is a lower towing capacity of 3,500 pounds. But unless you really need to tow that 5,000 pounds, I would say just skip the gas engine and go for the hybrid. It really is a huge selling point for the Highlander and one of its main advantages over the competition, none of which offers a hybrid option. You might not get as much power as you would get with other 3-row SUVs, which continue to use a V6 engine, like the Hyundai Palisade and the Kia Telluride, but you're getting an equally great driving experience and you're going to be saving a lot of money on gas, which for a lot of buyers is a lot more important. Aside from the engine, Toyota has made a few other important changes to the Highlander for 2023 as well. For example, at long last, Toyota has now introduced a brand new infotainment system using Toyota's new multimedia interface. Compared to the old touchscreen, which had pretty dated looking graphics, the new infotainment system is a huge improvement. Not only is it more responsive and look a lot better now, but it also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, over-the-air updates, and even music streaming through Apple and Amazon, which is pretty neat to see. It's a very good touchscreen. The only thing I'm not crazy about is that Toyota has eliminated the regular buttons, and they've also moved the volume knob to the far side, so it is further out of reach from the driver. There's also a new fully digital display behind the steering wheel on the higher trims, which has some customizability to it so you can change what information you see. The rest of the interior though is more or less the same as before. We have lots of storage space all over the place, and the build quality and fit and finish is generally quite good too. That being said, there's no question that when you compare this interior against the competition, especially the Hyundai Palisade and the Kia Telluride, it doesn't feel near the same level. The interiors of both of those SUVs do feel like a significant step up in terms of luxury, and also in terms of the features and technology that you get too. And not only are you getting a nicer interior with those SUVs, but you're also going to get more interior space too. Although the Highlander has decent room in the front and second row seats, it does have a very tight third row seat, and the cargo area is not the best either. So if you do want to buy a Toyota hybrid that maximizes interior space, you will have to buy the Sienna minivan instead. Or you could wait for the rumored Grand Highlander, which is supposed to come out in the next year or so. And that brings us to the pricing. The Highlander with the 4-cylinder turbo engine is priced from around $38,000 to $52,000 US, or around $48,000 to $58,000 Canadian, with an extra $2,000 getting you the hybrid. All-wheel drive is optional on the lower trims across the US, but it is standard on all trims in Canada. So as far as the pricing goes, the Highlander is in the same ballpark as the other SUVs that I mentioned earlier. But the question is, does the 4-cylinder turbo make the Highlander a better SUV than it was before? Well, in all honesty, I really can't say that it has. There's really nothing that this engine does better than the old V6, aside from having lower emissions. And as mentioned, the Highlander is facing some really tough competition now, especially from the updated Hyundai Palisade, the Kia Telluride, and the newly redesigned Honda Pilot 2. And they've also become quite competitive when it comes to their reliability and resale value too, thanks to their amazing desirability. Of course, the Highlander is going to give you a lot of those things as well, but unless you're just really used to having Toyotas and just really want to play it safe, it's starting to get really hard to come up with a lot of reasons to choose the Highlander over the competition. The real main one, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that you can get the Highlander as a hybrid, which is something that you can get with the other 3-row SUVs. We really are starting to reach the point where traditional gas engines are making less and less sense to buy, and the fact that you can buy the hybrid that has all the same benefits as the gas engine, with much better fuel economy, lower emissions, and only for a small price increase, it really is a no-brainer. So let me know what you think of the updated 2023 Toyota Highlander. Would you buy the 4-cylinder turbo, the hybrid, or would you buy a different SUV instead? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other car videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.